At 8 o'clock on a Monday morning, the cable management tray sits under his desk like a small test of character. The danger is not the wires. It is the quiet shame of letting yesterday's disorder become today's first command. Most people think chaos announces itself with noise, disaster, or pressure from the outside. But sometimes chaos is just a home office covered in old coffee cups, dead receipts, charging bricks, and tangled cords that make the mind feel crowded before the work even begins. He is a software engineer. His job is supposed to be clean logic, clear systems, elegant solutions. But his desk tells another story. Half-finished caffeine. Cables crossing like bad thoughts. A keyboard pushed into the only open patch of wood. And beneath it all, the hidden message: if the space has no order, the mind has no place to stand. Then his hand finds the magnetic cable clip. Click. A small sound. Almost nothing. But what if dignity begins there? Not in some dramatic life reset, but in the first object returned to its proper place. This is the discipline of Ray: form protecting focus, order protecting depth, ritual turning a chaotic room back into command. He does not see the mess all at once. That is part of the problem. He sees one coffee cup beside the monitor, then remembers there are two more behind the laptop stand. He sees the USB-C cable running across the mouse pad, then notices it is twisted around the HDMI cord, which is caught under a notebook he has not opened in 3 weeks. A pair of earbuds sits in a shallow bowl of dust near the edge of the desk. A sticky note with an old bug ID has curled at the corner, as if even the paper got tired of waiting for him to care. The home office is quiet, but the room is not calm. Outside the window, Monday has already started moving. A delivery truck backs into the street with that thin, mechanical beep. Somewhere in the apartment, the refrigerator hums. His calendar notification flashes on the corner of the screen. Deep work block, 8:30 to 11 o'clock. No meetings. No excuses. The kind of clean, protected time every software engineer says he wants, and then quietly ruins by arriving to it unprepared. He stands there with his coffee cooling in one hand, looking at the battlefield he built one lazy decision at a time. The old cups do not accuse him loudly. The cables do not scream. That is what makes them dangerous. Disorder in a private room has a way of speaking in a voice low enough to ignore and constant enough to shape you. After a while, the mind stops calling it a mess. It becomes normal. It becomes the background. It becomes the place where every task has to fight through static before it can begin. He tells himself he works fine like this. Every engineer has said some version of that sentence. I know where everything is. It only looks messy. I'll clean it after this sprint. The desktop is chaotic, but the code is clean. Maybe that is true for a few days. Maybe even a few months. But the body keeps score in ordinary ways. The shoulders rise before the first line of code. The eyes bounce from cup to cord to notification to terminal. The hand reaches for the mouse and has to lift a charger out of the way. The first minute of focus gets spent negotiating with objects that should have been handled yesterday. That is how the shadow works here. It is not some dramatic collapse. It is a desk buried in old coffee cups and tangled wires, quietly teaching the mind that unfinished things can live anywhere. It is the soft permission to leave the external world unresolved and then wonder why the internal world feels crowded. It is the habit of stepping over small disorder until the day begins with a loss of respect so minor you almost miss it. The software engineer looks at his screen. The task is clear: refactor a stubborn part of the system before the rest of the team starts waking up and filling Slack with noise. He knows what needs to be done. He even knows the first file to open. But his hand does not move there. It moves to the nearest cup. He stops, not because the cup matters more than the code, but because the cup is no longer just a cup. It is evidence. It is yesterday's fatigue still occupying today's workspace. It is the old compromise, still sitting close enough to touch. There is a version of him that would shove everything aside with one sweep of irritation. He can see that version clearly. The quick push. The annoyed breath. The cable yanked too hard from under the monitor. One cup knocked against another. Coffee rings smeared with the heel of his palm. Then he would sit down in the wreckage and call it productivity because the terminal was open. That is reaction disguised as work. The undisciplined response is not always laziness. Sometimes it is speed without respect. It wants the result while insulting the conditions that make the result possible. It wants deep work without preparing the place where deep work has to happen. It wants clarity from a desk that has been treated like a junk drawer with a keyboard. Ray cuts into that lie quietly. Ray is not politeness for other people to admire. In this room, with no boss watching and no camera recording, Ray becomes the way he treats the space that carries his attention. It says the outer form matters because the inner state is too easily bribed by the outer world. It says a desk can become a ritual surface or a dumping ground, and the difference is decided by the hand before the mind feels ready. He sets the first coffee cup aside. A small movement. Nothing heroic. But it changes the pace of the room. Then the second cup. Then the third. He does not make a performance out of it. He does not turn cleaning into procrastination, either. That temptation is real. A messy desk can become an excuse to avoid difficult work, just as easily as a messy desk can sabotage difficult work. The mind is clever when it wants to escape. It can make avoidance look responsible. It can spend 2 hours redesigning the room and never open the file. So he narrows the act. Only what touches the work surface. Only what blocks the hands, the eyes, the breath. Only enough order to make the sprint honest. He picks up the tangled cord and feels the small resistance where it is knotted around another cable. His jaw tightens. The cord does not care that he is behind. The knot does not loosen because he has a deadline. For a moment, there is that childish surge of annoyance that comes when an object refuses to cooperate with a tired mind. That moment matters. Because the room is asking him a question before the code does. Can you bring order without resentment? He slides open the cable management tray beneath the desk. It is plain black metal, almost invisible unless you know it is there. No decoration. No drama. Just a place where the excess can be held without becoming the center of the room. He feeds one cable through, then another. The tray takes the slack out of sight, and the desk begins to breathe. His thinking changes by inches. The monitor looks taller once the cords stop crossing in front of it. The keyboard sits square. The mouse has room to move without bumping into a charging brick. He wipes the circle of dried coffee near the edge of the desk and sees the grain of the wood again. Not a perfect room. Not a perfect man. But a surface beginning to remember its purpose. Then comes the magnetic cable clip. He presses it against the side of the desk and guides the charging cable into place. Click. The sound is small, but it lands with strange authority. It is the sound of one thing agreeing to stay where it belongs. One loose line given a home. One tiny rebellion against the morning's drift toward chaos. And something inside him resists less. The confrontation was never between a man and his messy desk. It was between a man and the part of him willing to live slightly beneath his own standard, as long as the decline happened quietly. No one sees the old cups during a video call if the camera is angled high enough. No one sees the cords under the desk. No one sees how often he begins important work already irritated by the conditions he allowed. But he sees it. And that is enough. Ray begins with that kind of honesty. Not harshness. Not self-disgust. Just the calm refusal to pretend the small things are neutral when they are shaping the mind every morning. The tray under the desk does not make him disciplined. The click of the cable clip does not turn him into a different person. But the act of returning things to order gives his attention a place to land. He sits down. The desk is not empty. It is ready. There is a difference. The old chaos has not been conquered forever. He knows the cups will return if he lets them. The cables will drift. The shortcuts will multiply. The shadow always comes back through small permissions. But now he has seen the first gate. Before the sprint, before the code, before the clean architecture he wants to build on the screen, there is the architecture of the room. The cursor blinks. For the first time that morning, it does not feel like an accusation. It feels like an invitation. Training does not begin when the desk is already clean. It begins while his hand is still holding the first stale coffee cup, and some irritated part of him wants to pretend the cup is not part of the work. He stands there for 1 second longer than usual. That second matters. The first move is not to clean. The first move is to stop rushing. He places the cup on the kitchen counter instead of stacking it beside the monitor again. He empties it, rinses it, and sets it upside down near the sink. A small act, almost embarrassing in how ordinary it is. But it tells the mind something clear. Yesterday is not allowed to keep living on the desk. Back in the office, he does not attack the whole room. That would only become another form of chaos. He draws a boundary with his eyes. Desk surface. Keyboard zone. Monitor line. Cable tray. Nothing else. The laundry basket in the corner can wait. The bookshelf can wait. The drawer full of adapters from laptops he no longer owns can wait. The sprint begins at 8:30, and discipline here is not perfection. It is choosing the smallest field where order will actually change the morning. He picks up the second cup. Then the third. Each cup removed makes the desk a little less defensive. The air changes. The smell of old coffee fades. His shoulders come down, not because the day has become easier, but because the room has stopped arguing with him. Then he handles the paper. Old receipts go into the trash. The curled sticky note with the bug ID stays for one moment in his fingers. He almost keeps it out of habit. There is something comfortable about old reminders, even useless ones. They make a person feel busy. They let the mess pretend it has importance. He reads the number once. The issue was closed last week. He throws it away. That small choice cuts through a lie he has been carrying, that clutter is proof of effort. It is not. Sometimes clutter is just effort that never found a proper ending. He wipes the desk with a damp cloth. One slow pass beneath the keyboard. One along the front edge where his wrists rest. One careful circle over the dried coffee ring. The cloth catches on a rough spot of sugar that has hardened near the mouse pad. He rubs it twice, then again, until the surface is smooth under his hand. The work becomes physical enough that his thoughts stop scattering. Not gone. Not solved. Just no longer in charge. Now he reaches under the desk and pulls the cable management tray slightly forward. It has been there for months, installed with good intentions, ignored with equal consistency. A tool does not create order by existing. A system does not protect you just because you bought it. The tray has been waiting for his respect. He unplugs one cable at a time. Monitor power first. Then the laptop charger. Then the phone cable. Then the loose HDMI cord he only uses twice a month but somehow lets dominate the whole desk. He does not yank. He does not mutter at the knot. When two cords twist together, he follows one line slowly with his fingers until he finds where it crosses the other. The mind wants speed. The hand chooses sequence. There is the training. He feeds the monitor power cable into the tray and lets the extra length rest there instead of coiling across the floor. Then he guides the laptop charger through the back corner of the desk, leaving just enough slack to reach the port without dragging across the keyboard. The HDMI cord goes into the tray with a small Velcro wrap around it. Not buried. Not lost. Just contained. The room starts to show him the difference between hidden and handled. Hidden is when you shove the mess out of sight so it can return with interest. Handled is when every object has a reason, a path, and a place to return to when the work is done. He reaches for the magnetic cable clip. The little piece of black plastic feels almost too simple to matter. That is why it matters. Most people are willing to believe in dramatic systems, expensive tools, new apps, new notebooks, new plans. They resist the humble object that only asks them to repeat one clean motion every day. He presses the clip to the side of the desk. The first cable snaps into place. Click. The sound does not fix his life. It does something better. It interrupts the old pattern at the exact point where the pattern usually wins. The cable does not fall behind the desk. He does not crawl under the chair later, annoyed and distracted, fishing for what he failed to place correctly. The future version of him has been treated with respect. He guides the second cable into another clip. Click. A second line stays where it belongs. He pauses there and notices the silence under the desk. Not total silence. The computer fan still runs. A truck passes outside. The refrigerator hums beyond the office wall. But the desk no longer produces its own noise. No visual noise. No small friction waiting to become irritation. He sits down and adjusts the keyboard until it lines up with the monitor. He moves the mouse pad half an inch to the right. He places one notebook on the left side of the desk with a pen resting squarely across it. Not 5 notebooks. Not every idea he has ever abandoned. One notebook for the sprint. Then he opens the codebase. The cursor waits. His old habit tries to return immediately. Check Slack first. Check email. Check the weather. Check anything except the difficult file. The desk is clean now, so the mind looks for a new escape. He sees it. He does not shame himself for it. He moves the phone face down and out of reach. He closes the browser tab that has nothing to do with the sprint. He puts both feet flat on the floor and names the task in plain language. Open the refactor, read the current function, change one section at a time. The battle shrinks. Not the whole product. Not his career. Not the anxiety of being behind, being judged, being ordinary, being exposed by one ugly piece of code. Just the next honest action. He opens the file. For 10 minutes, he only reads. No dramatic productivity performance. No frantic typing to feel in motion. He traces the logic like he traced the cable, one line crossing another, one hidden dependency pulling on the rest. The same lesson rises from the desk into the work. Follow the tangle patiently, and it will show you where the disorder begins. At 8:30, the deep work sprint starts. The desk does not make the code easy. The clean surface does not remove complexity. The cable tray under the desk does not think for him. But the room has stopped stealing from him. The anchor has done its job. It has taken the excess, held it out of sight, and reminded him that order is not a mood. It is a structure you return to. The magnetic clip holds the charging cable at the edge of the desk. Small. Quiet. Exact. Whenever his attention drifts, his eye catches that cable sitting where it belongs. The click is over, but the command remains. By 9:12, the room has not become a showroom. There is still a faint coffee stain near the coaster that will need a better scrub later. The bookshelf behind him still leans toward disorder. One adapter still sits in the drawer with no clear purpose, waiting for the old excuse that someday it might be useful. The apartment is still Monday. The world has not bowed because one engineer cleaned his desk. But the desk in front of him has changed its posture. The monitor stands without a web of cords crawling across its base. The notebook stays on the left, open to one clean page. The charging cable rests in the magnetic clip, exactly where his hand can find it without searching. Under the desk, the cable management tray carries the excess without making the excess the story. That matters more than it seems. Because focus is rarely stolen all at once. It leaks through small openings. A cable that falls behind the desk. A cup that reminds you how tired you were last night. A receipt you keep moving instead of throwing away. One unhandled object becomes a small tax on attention, and by noon the mind is paying interest on every compromise it ignored. Now, when his eyes lift from the code, they do not collide with accusation. They land on order. Not perfection. Order. There is room for his wrists. Room for the mouse. Room for the next thought to arrive without stepping over yesterday's mess. The physical space has stopped acting like an unpaid debt. He returns to the function he has been avoiding. The code is ugly in the way old code can be ugly, not evil, not stupid, just built under pressure by people who were solving the problem they had at the time. A conditional buried inside another conditional. A helper function with a name that once made sense to someone. A comment that apologizes more than it explains. He reads it slowly, and for once, he does not feel the immediate need to win against it. That is the deeper shift. Before, the tangled desk and the tangled code were feeding the same reaction. Irritation. Hurry. The desire to force clarity instead of earning it. He wanted the system to become clean before he gave it clean attention. He wanted the room to stop bothering him before he took responsibility for what he had allowed. Now his hand moves differently. He writes one note in the notebook, trace inputs first. Then he does exactly that. No grand reset. No heroic sprint montage. He follows the data from the entry point, line by line, the way he followed the cable with his fingers. When he finds the first hidden dependency, he does not curse it. He marks it. When he sees the second one, he opens a second note. When Slack flashes in the corner, he does not obey it immediately. He watches the notification appear, watches the old impulse rise, and lets it pass without turning it into a moral drama. The message can wait 10 minutes. The work in front of him cannot be done by a scattered man pretending to be responsive. At 9:37, he makes the first clean change. Small. Almost disappointing from the outside. A renamed variable. A branch separated into its own function. A test adjusted so it describes the behavior instead of the implementation. Nothing that would impress anyone in a status update. But the code begins to breathe the way the desk began to breathe. The shadow is still there. He still feels the pull toward clutter. He still wants to keep 3 tabs open just in case. He still feels a little embarrassed by how much peace he gets from something as ordinary as a cable clip. Part of him still argues that real work should be above all this, that a serious engineer should be able to focus anywhere, under any conditions, through any mess. But that argument has lost some authority. Because he has seen what the mess was doing. He has seen how the outer disorder gave his avoidance a place to hide. He has seen how a cluttered desk can become a personality costume. I am busy, I am intense, I am in the middle of important things. And beneath that costume, a quieter truth waits. Sometimes the room is not messy because the work is serious. Sometimes the room is messy because he stopped practicing respect at the smallest level. Ray brings him back there. Not with shame. With form. The cup goes to the sink when the coffee is finished. The cable returns to the clip when the laptop is unplugged. The notebook closes when the sprint ends. The desk resets before the next block begins. These are not chores pretending to be philosophy. They are the outer shape of a mind that refuses to make chaos feel normal. At 10:18, he leans back. The refactor is not finished. There are still failing tests. One problem has revealed two more. The team will still have opinions. The afternoon may still fill with meetings, interruptions, and small fires that do not care how clean his desk looks. But he is no longer starting from defeat. That is the transformation. The same room that opened the morning as a quiet confession now holds him differently. The cable management tray is no longer just storage under the desk. It has become a private agreement. What does not need to dominate the surface will still be handled with respect. The magnetic clip is no longer a gadget. It is a reminder that loose things stay loose until someone gives them a place. He reaches for the charging cable without looking. His fingers find it immediately. Click. The sound is softer this time, almost absorbed by the room. But it carries the weight of repetition. At the beginning of the morning, the click was a break in the chaos. Now it is a return to standard. He looks back at the code. The cursor waits in the cleaned up function. Outside, another truck passes. The refrigerator hums. Monday continues its ordinary pressure. Nothing about the day has become sacred. Nothing about him has become perfect. But the surface is clear enough for one honest action. And sometimes that is the difference between a mind that drifts and a man who returns. Order is not what you admire after the work is done. Order is what makes you worthy to begin. Your desk may not look like his. Maybe it is a kitchen table with a laptop squeezed between bills and cereal bowls. Maybe it is a corner of a bedroom where your work, your sleep, and your stress all share the same square footage. Maybe it is the office desk you keep telling yourself you will reset when life slows down. But life rarely slows down before it tests your standards. The software engineer did not win the morning because he became a different person. He won one small gate because he stopped letting disorder speak first. A cup went to the sink. A cable returned to the tray. A clip made its small sound at the edge of the desk. Click. That was enough to mark the line. Today, before you ask your mind to focus, look at the surface in front of you. Not with disgust. Not with drama. Just honestly. What is sitting there from yesterday that no longer deserves authority over today? Move one thing. Return one object. Clear one small field where your attention can stand without apology. Then begin. If this message gave language to something you have been living quietly, stay close to samurai discipline. We train in ordinary rooms, under ordinary pressure, with ordinary objects that reveal whether our standards are real. Ritual is not decoration. It is the outer shape of inner order.